Alright, I hit record, so I'll start us off. Oh my god. If I don't
bust your head.
I did earlier, bro. I didn't I tell you I was coming in on the porch and fucking just slid and smashed onto
a fucking ate shit against the shovel?
Yes, and shattered it. But anyways, it's Rampage of 78 Designs. I don't know, some people think I'm like Anthony Miller or Alex Miller. I am both. Do you want to be called Matt or Macho? So I met Macho like years. This is Macho Matt Baricko. I met him years and years ago through the horror community. This kid, the way I met you was you didn't talk normal. You talked in Macho Man lingo on the groups.
Oh, yeah.
And responded
pretended like I was the Macho Man brother.
Yeah, just responded to everything in Macho Man. It was so funny. And then I'm like, this guy's the man. And eventually we realized we kind of lived near each other. We met up one night a couple times, got drunk, had a lot of fun, and met some Halloween celebrities, and here we are now. So anyways, we're
doing my cream.
We're gonna do a Halloween review today. The one, the only, the classic. I did the Ends review before, which it's alright doing it by yourself, but when you have like a knowledgeable Matt Macho knows a lot about film and horror.
Another nerd.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're just going to run through the movie and give our point system score thing that we were doing last time that I did. He's going to give his as well. So the original Halloween, we start off 1963, right? Opens up sort of the POV style there.
Chicks' pussies look just like my beard.
Ha! Which mine only grows on one side for some reason. It's like, so I always wondered this, like, so you get the first initial basically murders, you know, little Michael, which you don't know is little Michael yet. This is the first inception of anything, and that's...
Yeah, I mean, it's the movie that invented all the shit every other movie fucking did.
And that's why it's hard to score this, because these are Halloween reviews, so it's like, this is the inception of everything. It's like, if I don't give everything a 10, isn't that... But you kind of can't, I guess, right? Because there's some things we talked about that kind of aren't a 10.
I mean, as great as a movie as it is, you know, there's some little shit you can nitpick.
Right.
I mean, I've got one major... Well, I've got like 2 or 3 issues.
Alright, let's go through the... Yeah, let's go through the movie play-by-play. Yeah, not play-by-play, but, you know, just explain. So then you get little Michael there.
Yep, after the quickest hookup in history.
Yes. My man busted a nut in 0.2 seconds, bro.
Yeah.
And I always look back at that real quick. It's like, I always wondered why he wasn't blamed for the murders or questioned, and I thought that was cool to add into the sort of lore when we did that, but when we did the fan stuff. But so then you realize it's a little boy, it's Michael Myers. You still don't know it's Michael Myers yet. In the beginning there, do you think like before you saw his hand, do you think they were trying to spin it as maybe this wasn't a kid, you're not supposed to know who it is, or do you think you're supposed to know it's little Michael by what
I mean, you really
Judith
didn't
says?
have any way to tell beforehand, and I mean...
Yeah.
It's just, I think like the closest thing we've got, you know, Black Christmas, you know...
Right.
Which, okay, the intro to this emulated a little bit, so you could think, oh, maybe it's an adult, but...
Right. So...
I mean, how often do you get a fucking 6-year-old fucking doing shit? Back in the day,
okay, right.
It was a twist as fuck.
Okay, exactly. That's what I was getting at. Is did you take it as a twist? And certainly they probably did back then. So then, you know, we get the cool pan out shot, the aerial shot, and I think you would agree, and everyone, all the fans of the masks, we wish that they would have saw the mask on him for like 2 more seconds.
Yeah, like if they could have just like waited just like, you know, even half a second more.
Yeah, you know what? I think maybe Carpenter was like, well, if we hold it on, then it's. I want you to see it's a kid right away, and who knows? But then it goes. So then it goes.
Oh, I do have to bring up one little thing with that scene.
Say what you want.
Like, Michael, the dad looks like, what the fuck? I love how the mom looks like she just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like, this little fuck.
Yeah. Yeah,
What did he
like
do this time?
yeah, like maybe he was doing weird
With
shit
my
before.
good cutlery.
And then we sort of go into I believe 78 from there after that. I'd say for the sake of this one, we'll just do a theatrical cut. And this one is, you know...
Works for me.
Is you know, Dr. Loomis explaining, sort of basically getting annoyed with Marion Chambers, who's we should also announce the characters as they come. So you had Michael's mom, you had Michael's father, little Michael, you had Judith, who got murdered, who is Michael's big sister. She was 17 years old. We have her tombstone here. And
was a former Playboy playmate, by the way.
Yeah, and then so
in real life.
And so those are sort of the characters you meet there. You know, there's not really any dialogue aside from Judith and Danny, and I think they're just trying to establish, you know, that Michael basically has killed his older sister on Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no other way to take that.
So yeah, he's kind of annoyed with Marion on the drive up there, and they're discussing how Michael's, you know, sort of going to trial, and I think she thinks Loomis is just like batshit like most people in the movie, you know?
Oh yeah, let's not listen to the dude who's been with the killer more than anybody.
I keep forgetting to look over here, but I'm going to be kind of looking over here, guys, because this is where I see him, and I'm looking forward. So, yeah, and then
it works for me.
I was watching it earlier too, and I love how he's like, bruh, because that's the law. Like, you know, if that was like 2023 and some little wise-ass 24-year-old psychiatrist, he'd be like, bruh, because that's the law. Like, you know what I mean? Getting fed up with her, annoyed and shit.
Yeah, it's like you can tell he'd be like, dude, if I had my way, I just put him down like fucking Old Yeller.
Yes.
And I gotta do this shit.
Yeah, he's like, cause that is the law. But I do love that. It's very symbolic. And then, so that's actually where we first meet Dr. Loomis in the theatrical.
My personal favorite character in the franchise.
And it, you know...
Without titties.
What's up?
Without titties.
Well, he's got man titties, but... They drive up, and, you know, it's supposed to be a locked gate, and then all of a sudden we see all the patients roaming around, and, you know, she's like, when do they let him roam around like this? And Loomis is like, oh, hell no, and so basically there's an interaction there. That's where we meet adult Michael for the first time, and he crawls up on the car.
With his bare ass out in that storm.
Yeah, and smashes the window, and Marion gets blamed, which is... I guess it's kind of her fault, but it's like, dude, give her, like, sort of a break. I don't know. And so...
You never leave the bitch with the car.
Yeah. Well, and so Michael steals it and peels the fuck out. And Loomis, you know, is pretty much like, congratulations, even though... I mean, hey, they both kind of fucked up. It's like, I might have turned my ass around when I seen all those psychos, like...
Yeah, I wouldn't be getting out of that fucking car.
Yeah, so then...
Probably be reversing back down that fucking road.
Yeah.
Being like, yeah, maybe get a cop or two out here. This is above my fucking pay grade.
But he wants to go and use the payphone there. But anyway, so... then I believe that's when it goes into daytime, right? We go into...
Well, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Looks like it's good now.
Yeah, so, I mean, then it's daytime, and, you know, if we miss... We don't have to go play-by-play. If we miss some shit, I think we'll just zoom past, right? So it's daytime. She meets Tommy. Laurie does, rather. This is the first time we meet Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode. And, you know, first, though, right, she gets the keys from her dad, because she has to drop them off at the Myers house there. Then we get the little walk with Tommy and Laurie. She drops them off at the house, the keys rather, and Tommy's, you know, being kind of annoying, but, you know, it's sort of painting the picture for the little annoying kids that would be babysat in the future. It's like, you know, it's kind of what you expect, you know what I mean? A little annoying kid, but in the 70s, I don't know how they were, you know, because I wasn't alive at that time, so.
Yeah, no, I mean... maybe a little smack upside the head, like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. He was a little... He was a little overboard, and so then that's the first time, whatever, Michael, I guess, locks eyes on Laurie. and then she walks away. He stares at her, and really, the movie is really Michael stalking her and her friends throughout the day. When she leaves school, that's when we meet Annie, Linda, and so those are sort of the three friends. They're side characters, but they're also sort of the main piece because Laurie's directly around them. So they're sort of around a lot of the especially Annie. She's around a lot of the time, and she's Sheriff Brackett, who we met on the walk as well. That's his daughter. So it's like very tight knit.
Spoiler: he doesn't believe the doctor.
Yeah, and exactly. All right, so we're not. That's what's good about it is you can go back and be like, okay, yeah. So basically, he tries to talk to him outside the store that's been broken into, and all this other stuff. And the movie, is obviously Dr. Loomis on his. He knows what Michael's gonna do, and he's on his way to Haddonfield, basically on Michael's tail or whatever. It's his hunch, but nobody really believes him. You know what I mean? So Michael stalks basically these three girls into the night. Annie and Laurie are really the ones that babysit, and they've Annie's foiled this freaking plan so she can get her bones shagged.
Get it in.
Yeah, and I love when she's like, "You dragged me into the locker room." It's like, I'm sure you didn't just walk in there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Laurie is sort of starting to realize that somebody's on her tail and stuff, and she sees him behind the bush. And I'm gonna put like pictures and shit up in the little screen, so it's not as boring. While we talk about this, we'll have little pictures and videos and shit. And she sees him coming out of the bush. That iconic scene, and these things really set the tone for everything. I mean, you had movies, I wanted to mention this in the beginning, was Halloween inspired a lot of future movies, which was interesting because I watched Sorority House Massacre, which was exactly like the first Halloween. And then I watched X-Ray, which is Hospital Massacre, which is exactly like Halloween 2. And and they were both great movies, and Halloween spawned a lot of that shit. So back to what
you gotta watch Offerings.
What is it?
Basically redneck Halloween.
Okay.
It's amazing.
There's a certain budget that I just can't do. Like,
don't worry. It's not like somebody shot it on a fucking camcorder. Like,
I watched.
It's well made. It's just they've all got these Wisconsin accents and shit, and
dude,
it's a little bit hillbilly.
Dude, I watched fucking Doom Asylum last night. You ever seen that?
I think that's somewhere in my big ass fucking collection of shit I gotta watch.
Oh, I won't ruin it, but there's like a rock star chick and she totally has the bullet titty bra with like spikes all over it and shit. and he thinks like she killed the dude or whatever, and dude, it's the worst acting ever. He's like, "You're in big trouble, torpedo tits," and it's just the funniest, randomest shit ever. The transition to night in Halloween was pretty subtle. Like, it just all of a sudden it's nighttime and people are getting ready sort of to leave because Annie's gonna be babysitting or whatever, and you get sort of that classic shot of Mike. I love that when he's walking out the car and just walks up to the tree and shit.
Yeah. It's actually one of my favorite things in the original one, the transition from night to day.
Yeah.
Because once the night hits, like, there's just a whole new vibe to the movie. Like, it just gets like just a little more sinister and like a little more spooky.
And I love that because Rob Zombie kind of said it good too. Was like, when it goes to nighttime, all the spots in the daytime that you were visiting don't look so innocent anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, bro, that's deep as shit. That's cool. And so that's what happens. Everything in the atmosphere sort of becomes like, oh, whoa. Like, it's almost like you don't expect it to be that scary. You're like, wow, okay, we're in it now. Like,
yeah, like even though it's like, it's not claustrophobic, but it feels claustrophobic as fuck, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, and so
like somehow it makes like, okay, these two houses that we're gonna spend the rest of the fucking movie at.
Yeah,
it just makes them feel a lot more caged in, a lot more like, okay, what the fuck's gonna happen now? Where the fuck's he gonna be?
And it was...
ends up being a really fun game to play with people who haven't fucking seen it before.
That's true, yeah. And, there's some... Yeah, that happened to me with one Halloween and one Halloween ever. And, we won't go going all around.
Are we talking about part 4?
Yeah. That was the
the scene you're talking about.
That was the only shit that I've never noticed before that actually got pointed out by a fan, and I felt like the dumbest little bitch ever, bro.
Dude, I love pointing that out to people because everyone else is like, dude, how the fuck did we never notice that shit?
Oh, I hate the people too that are like, yeah, that's a known fact. It's like, dude, no, it's not. I'm like one of the biggest fans, and I'm admitting to you I missed that. Like, it's not, but. So again, yeah, the transition tonight sort of makes everything suspenseful, sort of the where is he, and it really doesn't take off until, even later in the night, and one of the...
Yeah, that is the thing, it is a slow burn for a movie, which
would be a hard watch for
a lot of modern audiences.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
It could be a little bit of an ask, but I don't think so.
No, yeah. And then, so one of the categories is atmosphere, Halloween atmosphere.
Yeah.
And Halloween is weird as shit because while there's not many decorations and trick-or-treaters and shit, it does feel a little like Halloween a lot. But I think you'll see my score at the end is, it's still, even that can't really save the lack of Halloween atmosphere in Halloween.
That's kind of my thing. Like, even though it's called Halloween, realistically, it feels like it could be any night.
Yeah.
Because we get like 3 quick shots of kids in costumes, and that's about it.
Yeah, and they try to do it in the daytime too, with some trick-or-treaters in the day, which I wasn't.
That's another fucking point of contention. Besides fucking the little engine who couldn't hold his load in the beginning, and fucking
the little engine that could not.
The nastiest fucking skank in Haddonfield High. Who the fuck goes trick-or-treating at 2:30 in the afternoon?
I know, yeah. I could understand. Well, we did that in American Halloween too because of what had happened. But if there's no tragedy in the town and there's no... Plus, it's like you're either trick-or-treating in the day or the night. It's like, you mean to tell me I gotta keep my goddamn door open all day for these little shits? Like, from fucking 12 in the afternoon to...
Like, who the fuck's home to give out candy at that fucking time?
Yeah, don't ring my doorbell at 2 p.m., dude.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be spooky and shit.
Yes!
It's spooky going out at like 3 in the morning when you're walking by the fucking mailman and shit.
Yeah, so, there's just little...
like I said, that's one of my just little nitpicks, is like...
Well, it's a good one, though.
It's got a creepy atmosphere.
Yeah.
Not necessarily totally a Halloween-y atmosphere.
Yeah, I like
lights. Like that's one thing that basically almost all the sequels improved on.
Yeah.
You say almost, because...
Immediately in 2, I would say, too. You know what I mean? I mean, you got a little bigger budget and all that shit, but...
Yeah.
If you're making a movie called Halloween, most of our budget went to decorations and shit, so... no, but that shit's kind of hard. That little... The laundry room house?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I know I wasn't around in the 70s, so I don't know how they were building shit back then, but I've never fucking seen that before.
I think it has... I think it has something to do with maybe how they were built back then. Like, they probably weren't trusted enough to be inside of a residence, you know what I mean? And then when the years... this is just my guess.
It's still a spooky scene, so I'm not complaining that much. I'm just...
Yeah.
I'm just asking questions.
And then I was going to say, years later when safety progressed, it's like, okay, now we can have wash and dries in the fucking basement or whatever, but... I don't know. Anyways...
Ultimately, though, it leads up to her getting fucking killed, which, I don't know about you, but for me, when I first saw that movie, even though, I was kind of like, oh shit, the windows are fogged as a kid, that jump scare still fucking got my ass.
It's very
And
weird.
to this day,
Yeah.
I still, no matter what time of day, I'm always checking my fucking back seat because of this fucking movie.
Yeah. I did that shit the other night.
Like that's in my opinion, that's a sign of a good fucking. If it somehow rewires your shit into real life,
Yeah.
like, that's a real fucking scary ass fucking movie.
It's pretty scary too how fast he pops up. Like.
Yeah, because that's it's like that's the thing. It's like you notice. Oh shit, the windows are fog. Like this, the second like she does, and you're like, oh shit. There's like no fucking time to fucking breathe. He's just fucking there.
Right, yeah. And then she gets choked and the little throat slash and the horn is so loud and it sounds like an 18-wheeler horn just because of how old those cars are and their freaking boats.
Oh yeah, dude, fucking cars back then had those fucking Jeepers Creepers horns.
Yeah, and they just, dude, it sounded so creepy. I was gonna say that too. The audio mix in this movie is like so old school horror, you know? It's like the pinnacle of fucking basically that weird like tin can sound that you love to watch on VHS and shit, you know? So
yep.
something about it, man. So she gets murdered and then it's basically like Laurie and with Tommy and Lindsay sort of going through stuff, you know, making fucking pumpkins and making popcorn and shit.
Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis is just hanging out in the bushes at the Myers house, scaring the shit out of little kids, maybe taking a leak, I don't know.
Yeah, and then...
Meanwhile, the sheriff's like, I tell you what, there ain't much going on, you and your fancy talk.
Yeah. Well, then we come upon weirdo fucking Linda's boyfriend, Bob.
He's a van guy, too. Like, you couldn't be any more of a fucking creep.
Yeah, he had the shag van.
He's like a total geek, and he drives a van. And then he has that one line, and I think you know the line I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, he just wants to, rip, little girls' clothes off and...
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, no. I think this is one time where we can mention the book, and it's relevant. Because the line is exactly the same in the fucking book.
Yeah.
So I think the dude's just a fucking creep.
Yeah. I don't know how joking...
Didn't fuck up the line. Bob's just a fucking weirdo.
I don't know how joking was back then. I can't imagine that it'd be even really accepted then, but I don't know, you know, there wasn't too many...
I don't know, because have you ever watched Sleepaway Camp?
Yeah.
Do you remember when the creepy cook and that was all like, yeah, they call them Baldies where I'm from. And everybody around him just like, that's hilarious. Maybe back then, like, you know, there's a time and a place, but that was not the time or the place.
Yeah. So they go inside and it's Bob and Linda in the house and Michael's sort of just stalking them around the house while they, like, kiss everywhere and do weird shit.
Although they fuck with a lit pumpkin right next to him and shit.
Hey, that's kind of gangster. Hard to go back to what your first feelings were, but you know, it's just the classic stuff in there, like the Bob gets murdered trying to go get her a beer or whatever, and that was, even though like that was unrealistic now when you look at it, it was still classic, him pinned to the wall, and that was the first time.
Cool as fuck. I don't care how physically impossible it is.
Yeah, and that was at a time where
let's be honest. If we can forgive 2018 for the cops somehow getting his head run over by a car but he's fine and kills.
Dude, if you want to do that next week, we can. But Halloween's a little hard for me because this one, because I don't have many nitpicks. It's the inception of everything, so it's hard to judge. But if we get into fucking...
Oh, yeah, no.
Once we start getting into 2018 and kills and shit, I'll be like, okay.
Oh, dude, trust me, I have a load of issues.
But they're still good movies, though. But yeah.
Ends, but
yeah.
I said let's go in order. Let's work our way up to the shit we could really tear into.
So then we get the classic scene of Bob, who got murdered. Michael stares at him while he's pinned up, and then he goes upstairs and has the bed sheet on with the eye holes cut out, and Linda obviously thinks this is Bob, and
see anything you like?
not on you, my friend. Hairy ass chest. You're hairy like animal. I'm sorry. I love Austin Powers.
Good, baby, very good.
Yeah, the weakest fucking. I was thinking of that the other day because this car got stuck in between. Dude, it was the dumbest shit. There was two cars parked like this, and this car was trying to like back out, and it was such a small car that it fucking got stuck between the two cars, bro. And hit the back car to get out. I was like, dog, how did you just Austin Powers that shit when you could have backed straight out? Anyway, it's some shit, bro. And fucking but anyways, and then so she's trying to make the phone call. After she says see anything you like, she thinks Bob's just being a prick, and she's
possibly the most famous tit shot ever. Where you really don't see.
Yeah. I think isn't there?
See, like, am I the only one that had like a Berenstain moment where I could have swore you saw way more titty the first time you saw it back in the day?
I was just gonna say, I think the widescreen version or something like that has a bigger frame or something like that.
Yeah, it must be some aspect ratio shit.
That's what I'm saying.
When I first was a kid, being like, an 8-year-old little motherfucker being like, this shit fucking rocks.
Yeah. Oh, but see, I just want to jump around, but it's because now I'm thinking of Pamela Susan Shoop's boobies.
Oh, dude, the queen, the queen of the franchise,
the best titties of all time, bro. The best milk jugs ever, bro.
My boy Bud.
Yeah, bro, lucky ass dude. I would take the goddamn strangulation to see them goddamn. Anyways, they get murdered. She gets choked with the phone there, and then basically just Laurie is running from Michael in the end of the movie, and
we'll add
the other stuff, but there
is the one little part where Dr. Loomis, apparently for the first time that night, finally turns.
Yeah.
I don't know, 40 degrees?
So weird.
Finally sees the car?
So weird, but I'm like,
pretty sure, like, they, like, meant to film a scene where it's, like, the car drives by or some shit, but they, like, totally just fucking forgot. We're like, how the fuck are we gonna get this motherfucker to the house? We didn't film that shit.
And I just try to look past it. I'm like, yeah.
See, this is the time where I go with the book, and I'm like, yeah, no, they just forgot to show us the car driving by. That's why.
There's a lot of epic chase scenes, like two namely, I think. And again, this is the first movie, so it's like, oh, shit. He gets stabbed. Oh, he gets up. Oh, wow. All right, like,
like even when I've watched it with people who haven't seen it for the first time, they've seen other shit. This is like the part where like shit finally starts to pop off, and like the tension is like really fucked. Like, even though let's face it, everybody knows she ain't gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for almost a 50-year-old fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many fucking timelines. But even nowadays, even when people like kind of get the gist of it, they will shut the fuck up and pay attention during these chase scenes.
Yeah.
Like those scenes, like those like shots where you see him coming around the house, just getting closer and closer and shit. It's like, even when you've seen it a million times like we have, it's still some fucking spooky shit.
Yeah, it's very unnerving. It's got the blue hue and stuff like that, and that's they did that in the. I was gonna say that's one thing they really copied in Sorority House Massacre. The shadows and the blue and all that stuff. That's the best way to hide somebody. Like some of these other horror movies, they're too in your face with the killers and shit.
Yeah.
I watched one movie the other day that was like a horror movie. It would have been fire, but it was like everything was in the daytime. I'm like, why is this? There's no nighttime. I'd have to go look at it. I can't remember. So it was a movie in the woods. I had to shut it off. It was trash, but.
Okay. Don't Go in the Woods Alone?
I don't know. That sounds familiar. I think that was one that I was gonna watch, but didn't.
Okay.
But, so, yeah, Loomis somehow finds... Not somehow. I don't understand... So the car, are they saying that the car is parked there the whole fucking time, or is Michael driving it and shit, and then that's, where he, I don't know, or did, because
I always just have to assume he must have moved it at some point, because if you remember the way they pulled up, they would have driven right by the motherfucker.
Well, if you go back and look, I think the way they did it, they just didn't convey it well enough. This is just my theory, was that when he turns around and looks at the car, is that it's way down the street. You're just getting...
Yeah, or it's on a side, just on a side street or something.
Yeah, you're just getting the close-up view from the camera, where I don't understand why it wasn't a way down the street shot, but maybe, because I'm not a pro director or anything like that, but I've certainly done weird shit like that where I'm like, oh, now that looks like such and such, you know what I mean? I'm like, fuck it, it's not a huge deal, and it ends up being shit like that, I think, but, it just...
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really matter that
or
much.
Like you said,
those weird things.
There could be a missing chunk somewhere, we know there's a lot of that we're probably never going to see. Lori is found, which she's been found the whole time. He just waited to make his move at this time, and she finds the dead bodies and runs back to the goddamn house. And oh my god, it's so fucking annoying when she's fucking throwing the thing at the house, and he's like, what? Tommy was mad annoying in that scene, bro. Like, that shit drove me insane. What?
The little fuck in his fucking Luke Skywalker costume and shit.
And tell me if this pissed you, dog. Little shits like that, that didn't piss me off as much as when he went down the stairs, bro, and turns the knob the wrong way first. That shit makes me so mad. Now little things bother me. Like, the fact that he went this way first made me so mad because it didn't open and he had to open it.
I was always more bugged by the fact that it's like, okay, you've been seeing the boogeyman all fucking night. You just wake up, your babysitter's fucking screaming and throwing shit at your window, and you're just like, get down there, but I can't.
And I didn't even think of that. Yeah. You sure that's him? I don't know, man. You punished me for this. You know that, right? And then, so...
It's like, Tommy, unless you feel like ending up on the back of a fucking milk carton, you might want to, get your little ass in gear.
One of the scariest fucking scenes in there is when he comes through the closet when she's hiding and she gets him with the coat hanger. That is fucking scary as shit, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Just because the lights are flickering, and it flickers on at the perfect time, right when he turns his head, and it's just that, woo, like that fucking just whole, and it's something about Michael's, I love the way Michael looks when he does this, and has, the collar's up here, and you could see him looking this way,
A practical question for you.
What's up?
Let's say you're in that scenario. Would you do the same, would you hide in the closet? Or would you do what I do? I'd take the fucking chance jumping off that fucking balcony and hauling ass the fuck away.
Well, I'm very much don't leave no one behind and shit. So if the kids were fucking still up there, bro, it'd be hard for me to leave. It'd be very hard for me to leave. But
if they were like my nieces and nephew, okay, fine, I'd stick around. If they weren't, I'm not proud of it. I'd probably be a little bitch and run.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and if they're not smart enough to know to get the fuck out, but, I guess to answer your question, it depends how close I am with them. If it's fucking, kids I'm just babysitting, I might try to jump too, but then, if you jump and you fucking destroy your ankles, he's just gonna come down and kick you in the stomach.
Okay, I'll crawl like a motherfucker, I don't care.
Yeah, because at least you can make noise outside and shit. When you're inside, you're really fucked. Lori, instead of leaving the house after this, kind of just is, I guess, in shock, traumatized, sitting at the doorway, doesn't think he's going to get up again, but sure enough, you get the classic shot again now of him sitting up, and that shit is another, there's, it's so silent, bro, it's just, and then you're like, fuck, dude, damn.
Yep.
There you go.
And I'm thinking about fucking, two or three summers ago, I introduced my nieces and nephew to these fucking movies. Granted, they're little kids, but they reacted the same way I fucking did, where they're like, how the fuck is he? Well, they didn't say fuck. that have a little bit better mouths than I did at their age. Like, how the fuck isn't he dead? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, so he gets up, and that's really, again, like, this is the first time we're seeing all this shit. So then Loomis comes up, because he sees Tommy and Lindsay running out, so that gives him the cue to go up in that house, and he runs up in there, and Michael's choking her. We get the shot where the mask is ripped off, and you do see Michael's face for like 2 seconds, and it's like he's a normal man. I don't know, though. A lot of people are like, whoa, I expected like a monster. It's like, when I first watched Halloween, I didn't really expect a monster under there. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, you see him when he's 6. Like, how fucked up do you think he got in 15 years just sitting around?
I think people attribute horror movie serial killers like, oh, he's got to be fucked up under there or something. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard that a lot, that people would, oh, it's crazy when because do you not hear this all the time? When he pulls the mask off, he's just a normal man. It's like, well, no shit. As opposed to what? Like, you know he's not a monster, but who knows? You didn't know, though, because he was doing weird shit. So who knows? Maybe some people expected when the mask would come off for him to maybe be some entity. And then they're shocked when he's a normal guy, you know? So, and it was scary, bro, because his eye was hanging down and shit. So he, like, is sort of deformed for that little second, and it's very creepy, bro, because he just kind of has no fucking emotion. Like, just puts the mask back on, and then he's standing there huffing and puffing, and Loomis comes in with the fucking revolver and bangs him with the fucking blah, 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 and he, you know, falls off the balcony.
He got him 6 times!
There you go.
We got a little ahead of ourselves there.
Best I could do is 6 times. I still love that meme there. The fucking... The Pawns... I'll put it up here. But the Pawn Stars meme that I made there, best I could do is 6 times, and it's like Loomis's face on the guy. So Loomis goes and looks, and Michael's gone. And that's like... And then Laurie says the boogeyman line, which we're not going to go back and forth on, because I don't even really know which line I think it is anymore.
I've always heard, like, it was the boogeyman?
So I've always heard, was it the boogeyman? Starting with was is what I always heard. Was it the boogeyman? That's always what I've heard, and a lot of people here are different. And then Loomis is like, as a matter of fact, it was. And you're like, damn, bro. Shit. Like, because Loomis is all about that business, bro. And he's a real dude, a mature dude. And, you know, while some people in the town don't believe him, you kind of do. Because you know he's for real. So when he says, yeah, that was a boogeyman, it's like, wow, dude. Like, this crazy established psychiatrist thinks that that's fucking not even a, you know.
Well, I mean, plus, I mean, if he was that worried about him, he's running around with a 38 in his
like, for real, dude. Yeah, and that's, I love that because it puts Michael over. Like, it puts Michael over, dude. Or else there's really no reason to be, like, we don't know what this guy's capable of. So, yeah, I guess you needed Loomis, like, wait a minute, this dude needs a giant-ass gun for this guy? It's like, alright, well, fuck.
Prototype slash movies, let's go with that. You just end them with them getting shot in the end or whatever.
Yeah.
This movie establishes, well, that's out the fucking window.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are you gonna do now? Alright, let's score this shit.
Alright, so we'll go by the group categories first. Michael Myers' appearance and portrayal. And for me, I mean, you can go first if you want.
Considering he was played by like 4 or 5 different fucking people throughout the movie, so it was pretty fucking consistent for the most part.
Yeah.
Even though it's the original, it's not exactly how he's portrayed for the rest. See, this is kind of hard now that I'm like really thinking about it.
You want me to give you mine first?
Go. Let's hear yours. Hear yours first.
So this is the Michael Myers' appearance and portrayal. This is the first time you've ever seen Michael, and this is what he's supposed to fucking be. So, with all that shit in mind, with how we review these movies and the future movies that are going to go after this, I'm always going back and using Nick Castle or the original Michael Myers sort of as that standpoint. So if I didn't give him a 10 for this, then it would mean that I think there's a better Michael or something like that. And for me, you're always trying to emulate the original, so I give 10 out of 10 here because I have to. And it's not going to be that way for every single category, but I have to because this is the first Halloween. This is what Michael Myers was supposed to be, and this is the first of its kind. So for the character and the mask especially, I don't know how the fuck they did that, man. It's the most mysterious mask in the franchise to this day. We can't understand it. It's so weird. We've tried to replicate it so many fucking times. You notice when it's not that mask from the original movie, you're like, oh, that's a good try, but you can tell. Alright, so that thing's like tanking. I don't know what the, let's just revise one more time before we get out of here. On the side characters there, I think I did, it pretty much 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. So, and I was saying before we got booted that we'll put our final things up there pretty sure mine's close to 40 or something like that out of 50, so it's probably like 37 or 38.
That sounds about right.
Out of 50, which is good. I think N's got like a 20 or something like that, so.
That's awfully fucking generous.
Yeah, well, Michael looked really good in that, so that probably saved the whole movie. I think I gave it like a really high score on that, so.
The 10 minutes you get to see him.
Yeah, I know. Oh, this was a fucking beautiful disaster. And I enjoyed it, so I hope.
Hopefully next time we can get it to work a little. We can iron the kinks out a little bit better.
Well, it's fucking Zoom. If we can figure something out that isn't Zoom, but I like having you on the TV, so I hope everybody enjoyed watching, and we'll try to. I think we'll probably be back for.
It makes me feel like Busta Rhymes in Resurrection.
Yeah, oh God. I like Busta Rhymes, just not in Resurrection.
Well, dude, it's like I said, after Ends, I started to rewatch all of them. I don't hate Resurrection as bad as I used to.
Yeah, me neither. So I think next time we'll be looking at Halloween 2, 1981, and...
my shit.
Probably it'll be a little more entertaining and stuff like that. 1 is just so hard, bro. 1 is so hard.
Yeah, that's the thing, it's like... Look, you can't really say much about 1 that hasn't really been fucking said before. But
it's good though to review it because you had to review it though because it's like the pinnacle. People, if you just do all of them and then not 1, people are like, well, what do you think about 1?
Exactly. I mean, that's the like, not only sets the benchmark for all the fucking sequels.
Yeah.
Almost every fucking movie or horror movie fucking since then.
And dude, it's so crazy even nowadays, like everything references Michael Myers and Halloween. He's in everything, dude. I like the new Chucky series had a recreation of his theme. Most of the characters were named after people from Halloween.